What if you woke up tomorrow and your Social Security disability benefits were completely gone, your income vanished, your Medicare stripped away, and your family left with absolutely nothing? Not because you did anything wrong, but because someone behind a desk who has never handled a disability case in their life made a decision about your future? This is not some hypothetical nightmare scenario. This is happening right now to real people across the United States. And if you are receiving SSDI benefits, you need to pay very close attention to every single word in this video, because the changes that have taken place over the last few weeks are unlike anything we have ever seen in the history of the Social Security Administration. And if you are not prepared, you could lose everything. Millions of Americans depend on Social Security disability benefits to survive. These are people who cannot work because of legitimate documented disabilities, people who rely on that monthly check to put food on the table, keep a roof over their heads, and support their families. If that money disappears, they are in serious trouble, unable to work, unable to earn, unable to provide for the people who depend on them. And speaking of dependents, if you are on Social Security disability benefits and you have children or other family members who depend on you, those people may also be receiving benefits on your record. Children can receive benefits on a disabled parent's record as long as they are under 18 years old or if they became disabled before the age of 22. And there is also something called a child in care benefit, where a spouse can receive benefits as well. So when we talk about losing your disability benefits, we are not just talking about you. We are talking about everyone connected to you who depends on that income. Now let us get into the massive change that has everyone worried, and rightfully so. If you are on disability, you have probably already heard the news that has been shaking the entire disability community over the last couple of weeks. Continuing disability reviews, known as CDRs, are now going to be done in-house by the Social Security Administration itself. Now, some people hear that and think, well, haven't they always been done in-house? No, they absolutely have not. Here is how the process has worked for decades. When you originally filed for disability benefits, you went to your local Social Security office. That local office checked your insurance status, gathered all your medical information, your doctors, your work history, everything, and then they packaged it all up and sent it to a state agency called DDS, which stands for Disability Determination Services. That state agency is the one that actually made the medical determination about whether you were disabled or not, and once they made their decision, they sent it back to the local Social Security office. The exact same process applied to CDRs. When it was time for your continuing disability review, whether it was a medical CDR or a work CDR, the local Social Security office gathered all the necessary information and sent it up to the state agency for the medical determination. That system has been in place for decades. DDS agencies across the country have entire teams of trained professionals who specialize in making these medical determinations. You might agree or disagree with their decisions, but the point is, they have been doing this for a very long time, and they have established systems and processes for handling these cases. Well, as of a couple of weeks ago, that entire system has been thrown out the window. Now, the Social Security Administration itself is handling these medical determinations in-house instead of sending them to the state agencies. And on the surface, that might sound fine, maybe even more efficient. But here is the problem. They have never done this before. They do not have the infrastructure. They do not have the trained personnel. And they certainly do not have the institutional knowledge that DDS agencies have built up over decades. To make matters worse, this change comes after approximately 7,000 people have been fired or relocated from the Social Security Administration. So ask yourself, do you honestly think they have enough staff to handle all of these CDRs? The answer is no, they absolutely do not, and we already have evidence of the chaos that is unfolding. Look at what has been happening with overpayments. First, they said they would withhold 100% of your benefits for overpayments. Then they changed it to 50%. Then they said, actually, we will go back to the old 10% rule, and the confusion has been constant. They announced a new national program that was supposed to roll out on one specific date. Then they pushed it back. Then they said they would let people know when it would actually happen. The people who are now in control of these decisions are not Social Security experts. They are not people who have spent their careers understanding the nuances of disability law and benefits administration. Their approach has been to move fast and break things, which might work in the tech industry, but when you are dealing with the lifeline that millions of disabled Americans depend on, breaking things means breaking people's lives. So let us make absolutely sure they do not break yours by denying your disability benefits. Let us start with the ways you can lose your disability benefits so you know exactly what to watch out for. The first and most common way people lose their benefits is simply by not responding to letters and correspondence from the Social Security Administration. This sounds basic, but it happens far more often than you would think. Social Security sends you something in the mail, maybe a CDR packet, maybe a request for information, and if you do not respond within the required time frame, they can cut your benefits for non-compliance. Sometimes people do not respond because they never received the letter in the first place. Maybe they moved and did not update their address, maybe the mail got lost, maybe they signed up for electronic communications through their My Social Security account and missed a notification. Whatever the reason, if you do not respond, you are putting your benefits at serious risk. This is why it is absolutely critical that you keep your address updated with the Social Security Administration at all times. If you move, update your address immediately. If you are not checking your mail regularly, start doing so. If you have a My Social Security account, log in and check it frequently. You need to be vigilant because you never know when a CDR is going to show up, and there are two types of CDRs you need to be aware of. The first is a medical CDR, which is when Social Security reviews your case to determine if you are still medically disabled. The second is a work CDR, which is when Social Security believes you may be working and wants to review whether you have exceeded the substantial gainful activity limit. And here is something that catches a lot of people off guard. You might think you would never get a work CDR because you are not working, but Social Security makes mistakes. Or maybe someone in your life, an ex-spouse, a neighbor, a former friend, calls Social Security and reports that you are working under the table, even if it is completely false. Social Security receives that information and sends out a work CDR, and if you are not at your current address and you do not receive it, and you do not respond, they can cut your benefits just like that. So keeping your address updated is not optional, it is essential to protecting your benefits. Now let us talk about medical CDRs specifically, because this is where a lot of people get themselves worked up unnecessarily. The number one piece of advice is to stop stressing about whether you are going to get a medical CDR. Here is what you should do instead. First, find out what your rotation is. If you do not know how often your CDR is scheduled, call Social Security and ask. Say something like, I was approved for disability benefits on this date. How often should I expect a continuing disability review, and when is my next one likely to be? They will tell you whether you are on a 1-year, 3-year, 5-year, or 7-year rotation, and they will give you an approximate date for your next review. Write that down and then forget about it. Seriously, forget about it. Here is why. Even if your rotation is up this month, you might not even get a CDR because these reviews are funded by a separate congressional allocation. Congress tells Social Security how many CDRs they need to complete and provides the funding to do them. If Congress does not give Social Security enough money to do all the CDRs that are due, then Social Security simply does not do them. Your CDR might be due right now, but if your local office does not have the budget for it, they will skip yours and move on. You could be checking your mailbox every single day, losing sleep, worrying yourself sick about whether they are going to review your case, And meanwhile, your local office does not even have the money to process your review. So do not waste your energy worrying about something that might not even happen. Now, when you do actually receive a CDR, complete it thoroughly, make copies of everything, and send it in. This is the second step. Complete it and make copies. Fill out every section to the best of your ability. If a question does not apply to you, write "not applicable." Do not leave anything blank. And here is a crucial piece of advice about how you fill out your CDR paperwork. Do not describe your best days. The reason you are on disability is not because you have great days. It is because your bad days and average days make it impossible for you to maintain consistent employment. Too many people try to put on a brave face or downplay their symptoms because they want to appear positive or tough. That is admirable in everyday life, but it will absolutely destroy you on a CDR form. You need to honestly describe what your worst days look like and what your average days look like. Explain that yes, you might have a good day here and there, but on 2 or 3 days out of every week, you are completely unable to function. Anyone can get a job in today's world. The real question is whether you can keep that job consistently. And if your disability prevents you from showing up and performing reliably, that is exactly what you need to communicate on your CDR paperwork. After you complete the CDR, make your copies and send it in. The third step is to forget about it again. Stop worrying about what is going to happen next. Here is something most people do not know about how CDRs actually work at the local office level. Each office has a specific allocation, a set number of CDRs they need to complete each month. If an office has a budget to complete 100 CDRs in a given month, they have to complete exactly 100, not 99, not 101, exactly 100. But here is the thing. They know that a lot of people will not respond or will delay responding, so to make sure they hit their quota, they send out way more CDR packets than they actually need. If they need 100 completed CDRs, they might send out 200 packets. That means if your packet comes back and you are number 101, they have already filled their quota and your paperwork essentially gets set aside. You could be sitting at home every night, unable to sleep, worried about whether you are going to lose your benefits, and your paperwork was already processed out of the system weeks ago because they hit their number. That is why you forget about it. Complete it, send it in, and move on with your life. Now, the other major way you can lose your disability benefits is through Social Security making a mistake, and this is what is particularly concerning right now given all the changes. With the CDR process being moved in-house and handled by people who have never done this type of work before, the likelihood of errors is going to increase dramatically. They are essentially pulling people from other departments, people who might have been doing computer work or administrative tasks, and telling them to make medical determinations about disability cases. These are decisions that affect people's lives, their income, their health care, their families, and they are being made by individuals who have not been properly trained for this specific work. It is critical right now that you document everything, keep copies of everything you send to Social Security, note the dates and times of any phone calls you make, write down the names of anyone you speak with, and keep a personal file of all your medical records and correspondence. If Social Security does make a mistake on your case, you need to be prepared to fight it, and having thorough documentation is your best weapon. If you are one of the people who recently received a CDR notice and has already filled it out and sent it in under this new system, pay very close attention to what happens next and keep records of every interaction. Now let us end with the one way you should actually hope to lose your disability benefits. And this might sound strange, but hear me out. The best possible way to lose your Social Security disability benefits is by reaching your full retirement age. For most people today, that is 67 years old. When you reach your full retirement age, your disability benefits automatically convert to retirement benefits. Nobody in the entire country over their full retirement age is receiving Social Security disability benefits. Nobody. Not people who are 68, not people who are 75, not people who are 80. Every single one of them was converted to retirement benefits when they hit their full retirement age. Most people do not even notice when this happens because the payment amount typically stays the same. Social Security just stops taking your money from the disability trust fund and starts taking it from the retirement trust fund. But there are two incredibly important things that change when this conversion happens. First, you no longer have to worry about CDRs ever again. No more continuing disability reviews. No more stress about whether your benefits are going to be taken away. No more filling out extensive paperwork about your medical condition. That is completely over. Second, because you are now on regular retirement benefits and you are past your full retirement age, there is no limit on how much money you can earn. You could make as much as you want, and it will not affect your retirement benefits one penny. This is a huge deal, and there is something important that needs to be said about this. There are people out there right now, 68 years old, 72 years old, who genuinely believe they are still on disability benefits. They have been offered jobs or opportunities that could really help them, maybe working a cash register at a local store, maybe doing some part-time work that would give them extra income and get them out of the house and socializing with other people. And they are turning these opportunities down because they are terrified of losing their disability benefits. But they are not on disability benefits anymore. They have not been on disability for years. They are on regular retirement benefits, and they can work as much as they want without any impact on their payments. If you know someone like this, please share this information with them. It could genuinely change their life. They might be sitting at home isolated and struggling financially because of a misunderstanding that could be cleared up in 5 minutes. Ask them, what type of Social Security benefits are you receiving? And if they say disability and they are over 67, let them know that they were converted to retirement benefits years ago and they have nothing to worry about. Now let us also talk briefly about the appeals process because this is critical information given the current climate. If your disability benefits are denied during a CDR, whether it is because of a legitimate medical improvement or because of an error in the new in-house review process, you absolutely must file a reconsideration appeal and you must do it within the required time frame. Too many people receive a denial and just give up. They do not file the reconsideration or they do not file it in time, and by doing so, they are seriously hurting themselves. The appeals process exists for a reason, and especially right now when the system is in flux and errors are more likely than ever, you need to exercise your right to appeal if you believe a wrong decision has been made about your case. Do not let a mistake or an undertrained reviewer's decision be the final word on your disability benefits. Fight for what you are entitled to. The current situation with Social Security disability benefits is unprecedented. We have never seen changes like this happen this quickly, and the disruption is real. But if you stay informed, keep your address updated, respond to all correspondence promptly, fill out your CDR paperwork honestly and thoroughly, keep copies of everything, and know your rights when it comes to appeals, you are giving yourself the best possible chance of keeping your benefits through this turbulent period. The system may be in chaos right now, but your approach to protecting your benefits does not have to be. Be organized, be proactive, be honest on your paperwork, and do not let the stress and uncertainty paralyze you into inaction. Your disability benefits are your lifeline, and with the right knowledge and preparation, you can make sure that lifeline stays intact no matter what changes come next.